moves item A2 to someone, H2, I'm sorry, does someone have a motion on item H2?
Mr. Mayor, I will move item H2, which is ordinance 33025, amending a bunch of city code to prohibit discrimination based on personal appearance and language.
Second.
Councilmember Newsome moves introduction of ordinance 33-0-25. Councilmember Reed seconds. No, sorry, Councilmember Hedekaitis seconds. Councilmember Hedekaitis followed by Reed.
So this is kind of a 2-for-1 ordinance. We had 2 referrals, one on personal appearance and the other one on adding language as a human right. That was my referral. In working with Commissioner Justina Morita in her language access group, we had she had mentioned that Cook County had recently updated their human rights ordinance to include language, and they also recently declared April Language Access Month. So that's where that part of the ordinance comes. Really happy to have this in front of us. I think there's been some really good work being done by staff about addressing language access. I know City Manager Stowe and staff are working on getting I Speak badges for staff as we open up the new building. And I think it's an important step, and it's something we have to work on to make sure that all our residents have full access to all our services and programs. Thank you.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. I want to start by saying I fully support the language access portion of this. I think it's unfortunate that these two were coupled together in this manner, because I have some concerns about this ordinance. I want to begin, by affirming a core value that I know we all share. And I say this as the most gravitationally challenged member of the council. Every Evanstonian deserves to live with dignity, free from cruelty, harassment, or arbitrary exclusion. No one should be shamed, bullied, or denied basic opportunities based on how they look or what they weigh. But that said, I'd like to raise some legal and philosophical concerns about the proposed ordinance to ban weight discrimination. And I say this as a Black man, as a gay man. Historically, anti-discrimination laws have been grounded in the idea that certain traits like race, gender, sexual orientation are immutable and involuntary, and have been used to justify deep systemic oppression. These laws exist because people were denied housing, jobs, and even legal personhood based on characteristics they could not change and had no bearing on their ability to contribute to society. Weight, by contrast, exists in a far more complicated space, medically, socially, and legally. While genetics, environment, and socioeconomics all play a role, weight is also widely perceived, fairly or not, at least partially influenced by personal behavior. And if we want to get into like a Robert Sapolsky-esque, whether or not people have free will, we'd have to change a whole bunch of laws if we're gonna go that far. But that doesn't justify, and of course that doesn't justify discrimination, but it does complicate the argument for treating weight as legally equivalent to race or gender under our civil rights framework. From a legal standpoint, courts have been very cautious in extending protected class status beyond traditional categories like race, sex, national origin, and religion. These are traits that meet strict legal standards for what we call suspect classification. That is, characteristics that are immutable or nearly so, have been historically targeted for discrimination, are unrelated to ability or merit, and represent groups that have lacked political power or recourse. Weight does not consistently meet these tests. And as we expand protected classes to include mutable or behaviorally influenced traits, we risk blurring the lines between identity and lifestyle, between inborn characteristics and subjective life outcomes. That brings up a broader concern. When we treat everything that is difficult or sensitive as grounds for legal protection, we may unintentionally weaken the very foundation of civil rights laws. We risk trivializing the profound struggles that led to protections for race, gender, and sexuality. And in doing so, we may invite skepticism from courts or from the public that could undermine the legitimacy of the entire anti-discrimination framework. I raise these concerns not to deny that weight bias exists. If we could change this for dating, maybe I'd get behind it, but it does. Or argue against fairness, and I'm not saying this to argue against fairness or compassion. Rather, I'm asking us to consider, is this the right tool? Is this the right legal threshold? Are we anchoring our policy in the same moral and legal clarity that has guided civil rights protections for the most vulnerable? If our goal is to reduce weight stigma and to promote inclusion, we can and should pursue education, workplace training, healthcare, equity, cultural change, but we must be cautious when using the force of law to elevate characteristics to protected class status, particularly when doing so may create legal ambiguity or erode hard-fought civil rights. So with that, I'll just ask, who made this weight discrimination referral?
So I did not. It was submitted with my name, but I don't know who actually submitted it. Right, it was somebody else. Was it staff? I thought you found out who it was.
Good evening, everyone. Allison Leipziger, Policy Manager. Yes, a non-city staff person got a hold of the link, and was instructed to fill it out. I will be changing the link for the new council, so we'll have a new link, so that can't happen again.
So, thank you. So then, point of order, I support the language access. I think we need to have this. I think it's really important. But if there wasn't a council member or 3 council members who made this referral, this is...
It's similar to when a council member will say, can you please fill this out for me, like to staff, and here are my 2
co-sponsors
or co-referrers. Got a little muddled this time. It was Councilmember Harris and Councilmember Ravel.
That's 2.
And Councilmember Kelly
But
has been working on it. But
well, we had conversations, but I think you put it in me as lead sponsor. I just find it a little startling that this showed up. I'm not saying I'm against it entirely. I do think there's some good points that Councilmember Reed's raising. But I do think there's something askew here.
100%.
Right. So yeah. I feel like it should be pulled off and resubmitted formally by council members.
That would be fine with me. I mean, yeah.
With that in mind, I would like to vote on the language access portion of that. I think that did have a proper referral. Councilmember Hedikotis is the lead sponsor, along with co-referrers. The other item seems to be in this weird space. It slipped through committee, but I think,
Well, I want to be clear, it didn't slip through committee.
Well, I don't think committee was aware that there was this
confusion about the referral.
Yeah. So I think that part slipped through committee. So I don't think that is appropriately before us, especially when Councilmember Kelly is saying, hey, I'm not the lead sponsor and I had conversation, but maybe didn't officially sign on yet as a co-sponsor, or certainly not the lead sponsor. And so I think with that alone, that part of the ordinance should have to be resubmitted. And in fact, I would encourage the body not to take it up for the reasons that I listed, because I think it is an insult to the hard-fought rights that my ancestors, whether they be Black or LGBTQ, have fought in this country. And I think when we start adding these immutable characteristics, or when we start adding these mutable characteristics, it really denigrates the argument for the fundamental civil rights that we fought so hard for. Thank you.
So there's a bunch of people lined up to speak, but are you making an amendment here?
Yes, well, no,
I can speak.
I'm not. Or I don't know what I'm doing.
I can speak to that. I will send the original ordinance just for the language access to everyone so that we all have it. via email.
And you'll be moving to amend what's before us to replace it with that.
Yeah, so then I make that motion, I guess, with Councilmember Hidakadis sending the information for me.
Okay, so Councilmember Hidakadis will do that. While I was doing it, I'll just say, Councilmember Kelly, I was very troubled to learn that a referral was made in your name without your explicit consent, and I don't know, Luke, how high a hurdle it is to clear to set up a password protected system where each council member identifies themselves, but I think it's totally unacceptable for an elected official to be represented as though they've made a policy proposal they didn't necessarily fully sign off on. I once somebody just in totally good faith made a referral with clicking on me instead of themselves, and I was really upset. So I just think if we can set up, Luke, is it feasible for the next council to set up a system where these good faith mistakes can't happen?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it is, and I apologize for the error.
So who made it? I mean, I think we all have a right to know who made the referral, because when I looked at the writing of the referral, I didn't write anything. I always write my own referrals. So who did make the referral?
So I'd like to chime in. So this referral came to me, so to get point of clarification, to be really clear. So this referral came to me through you and the student. We met with Councilmember Ravel. I sent the link to the student not knowing that we couldn't do that and said, fill it out. We went through at least 4 discussions. Well, no, 1 or 2, Councilmember Ravel, and it was like, you created it. No, it wasn't going anywhere. And so I gave her the link to say, fill this out so we can get moving. So I wasn't setting anybody up, but that is what I did. So I take ownership for that.
Yeah, I'm not accusing of everything. I'm just saying it's a situation no one wants to be in. That's all.
Yeah, no, but I want to own my own mistake. I don't just get on people. I own my own stuff. So that's how that happened.
Thank you for clarifying.
So we can go back. We can go back through the trails of where it started, but that is how that happened.
Right.
So that was on me. Sorry.
Well, and when the issues came to Human Services, they were separate.
Right.
And then
And then staff asked, because it's the exact same language,
right.
it's the exact same ordinances are being modified for both.
Mm-hmm.
To streamline things, they asked us to combine them, so.
And my expectation with the second one was that we would have discussion and understand. I mean, the language one is very straightforward, and I guess I had expected that we'd have some discussion about what was involved and the rationale for the second one, but.
Sorry,
Yeah, Councilmember Reed, go ahead.
I move that we decouple the ordinances and that we just vote tonight on the language access portion of the ordinance.
And Councilmember Hidakadis, is the language on the way?
Yes, it's.
Yes, I sent it once and the formatting is horrible, so I'm sending the original PDF of the language access only ordinance right now.
Who are you sending it to?
At City Council email.
City Council, because it's spelled wrong there.
It hasn't arrived yet over here.
No, PVC or CC the court.
Yeah. That's why. You all should have it now.
Yes.
Councilmember Reed moves to amend ordinance 33-0-25 with the language in the packet he just emailed all of City Council, which essentially retains all the language access provisions and none of the personal appearance discrimination provisions. Councilmember Ravel seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll on the motion to amend?
Councilmember Ravel, Councilmember Hadakaris.
Reed,
Sorry,
yes, aye.
Reed. Councilmember Hadakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn. Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sufferton.
Aye.
With 9 voting in favor, none voting against, the motion carries. Ordinance 33-0-25 is amended. Is there any further discussion before we take the final introduction vote on the amended ordinance? Seeing none, will the clerk please take the roll? This is now on a motion to introduce ordinance 33-0-25 as just amended.
It's only a language access ordinance.
Right.
Councilmember Ravel.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn. Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Sufferton.
With 9 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and ordinance 33-0-25 as amended is introduced and will be back on the April 28th City Council agenda. This brings us to call of the wards. Councilmember Ravel.